Welcome back. Iran steps up production at a heavy water reactor that the UN says should actually be shut down. Now there are fears that the reactor could be used to make nuclear warheads. So is Iran gearing up for a military showdown?
Yeah, Michigan Congressman McCotter is a member of the House International Relations Committee. He joins us from Southfield, Michigan. And are we seeing that Iran is gearing up for some sort of nuclear, or should I say military showdown with the United States?
I don't know that they're gearing up for a military showdown, but what they are doing is engaging in a game of diplomatic chess. And what they're trying to do is probe for weaknesses within the diplomatic alliance, within the Security Council itself, and including Germany and others within the West, and involving Russia and China, to see where the weaknesses are and how far they can push this. I think they're also interested in finding out primarily whether or not the West will confuse talking with negotiating.
So what is the U.S.'s next step when it comes to dealing with the United Nations? When Thursday comes and goes, what happens?
The United States, I think, especially under the leadership of Ambassador Bolton, and whom I hold in high regard, has to continue the joint team effort with their colleagues at the Security Council, with Germany and with other nations, because at this point in time, if economic sanctions are required, it will be critical that all the nations involved in making those sanctions actually productive will have participated in this process and realized intimately the intransigence of the Iranian regime. If the United States tries to go alone or tries to force other nations into a position in which they're not comfortable too quickly, it would only mean that even if sanctions are adopted, economic sanctions are adopted, that they will prove unfruitful.
Yeah, and those sanctions that we're speaking of would likely hurt the Iranian people the most. The Islamic Republic would continue to show its defiance. So how do we deal with the Iranian people and helping them stand up against that particular regime that's causing so much consternation within the UN Security Council and the international community?
The critical component, as you rightly point out, would not necessarily be something that would affect the entire country, I believe, especially the people of Iran, the younger people, who, much like their predecessors of my generation in Tiananmen Square, wanted freedom in China and were subsequently sold out or injured in their effort to bring it. I think you have to look at Russia and China and the technological assistance that is making this nuclear program possible, or any nation that is supplying them with the technology or the intellectual capability to put this project forward. That seems to me a singular sniper approach to trying to deal with economic sanctions. It would make a lot of sense to the other countries and make cheating less likely.
Right, so Congressman, how do you lean on China and Russia to get them to back sanctions or to possibly stop their lucrative trade relationship with Iran?
Well, one of the things, especially with China, that I think that we always should have pursued, and that we should push even more forcefully at this point, is to reattach human rights to trade with the Chinese Communist government. I think that if a country does not respect its own people's human rights, they will not have a problem proliferating in the area of nuclear technology and potentially with nuclear weapons. I think that our trade deficit with China shows that we have absolutely minimal leverage with them at this point in time, especially as I'm sure you're aware, that the Chinese are spending billions of dollars for access to Iranian oil, which is then subsequently used to buy materials for nuclear development from Russia and perhaps China itself.
Congressman, real quickly, what can we do about the Middle East? Are we going to see some stabilization force move into that area and continue on with the peace, the ceasefire that's continued there?
The Middle East quickly. Well, what I would say is we should never confuse hope with expectation. I'm very concerned about the European peacekeepers and any other countries that participate, because I believe that to a certain extent, not being able to disarm the terrorist group Hezbollah, not having the ability necessarily to effectuate a positive, constructive change for peace, means that we will be engaged in a process of short-term gain for long-term pain.
All right, Congressman McCotter, we thank you for joining us this morning on Fox and Friends. Just ahead on Fox and Friends, the